If you invested $50,000 at 9%, find the amount of money in the account after 3 years if the interest was compounded annually.
Okay, so n equals 1 because it's annually. Okay, compounded once a year. And you had 50,000 and how many years? And what is the interest rate?
3 years, and the interest rate was 9%.
Okay, so 3 years and 9%. We have to change this into 0.09. And the formula for this will be the accumulated value equals the principal. I'll write these down for you in a minute. 1 plus r divided by n raised to nt. This is the general formula for, this is the accumulated value. This is the principal. It's either what we borrow or what we deposit. This is the annual interest rate. This is the time in years. And this is the number of times interest is compounded per year. Number of times interest is compounded, recalculated per year. Perfect question. So when you work on these problems, you also help me, because there is no way I can touch up on absolutely every type of problem. So bringing these problems to class, you help yourself, you help me, you help your colleagues. Good. So then the accumulated value will be 50,000 in parentheses 1.09. There is no need to put over 1 because it's just 1. I'm going to put it just for you to understand where it's coming from. And raised to 3 times 1, which will be 3. So yes, you can, in this case, you can combine these because it's very easy. So it's 50,000 multiplied by 1.09 to the third power. And now we get our calculators and punch in 50,000 and multiply by 1.09 power caret. You know me already, I have to have parentheses up there. And I get 64,751.45. 64,751.45. Again, all these calculations should be done in one step. Is this okay?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Other questions from me? Anything else? Is everything else okay then? Okay, in that case, I'd like to go back to R.2. We haven't selected any problems from the book. Feel free to select problems at any point in time. If you want to pull up in my lab math, the multimedia library, we are on page 22. And we finally would like to evaluate, we did look at one difference quotient last time. So I'm looking at, on page 22, let's start with, yes, why not? 24. 24 on page 22, we are given a function, 1 divided by x minus 5 squared. And they're asking us to evaluate it They're asking us to evaluate it for, so part A, they want f of 3, f of -1, f of k, fine, f of t minus 1, f of t minus 4, f of x plus h, and I'm going to add f of 5. That's from me. And in part B, they ask us to explain what the function is asking us to do. Okay, so obviously the function is telling me whatever minus 5 squared and then 1 over. So that's what I'm going to write. 3 minus 5 is -2 to the second power. That's 4, so it's 1 over 4. For -1 minus 5 is -6. So 1 divided by -6 squared, I meant to write, and then 1 over 36. When I replace x by k, I don't have anything to write other than 1 over k minus 5. Everything's squared. Now I have to be a little careful because when I replace x by t minus 1, the function looks like this. T minus 1 minus 5, everything squared. So that's what I have to write. 1 over t minus 6, everything squared. Same thing with t minus 4. 1 over t minus 4 minus 5, everything squared. So it's 1 over, I don't know why I didn't leave a little bit more room, my apologies. T minus 9, everything squared. Okay, now, same thing, this is very important. We calculated last time for other function. So now we have 1 over, for this one, x plus h minus 5, everything squared, and we cannot simplify in any way, shape, or form. So this will be 1 over x plus h minus 5 squared. Can anyone calculate for us f of 5? F of 5. What would the answer be? For f of 5. Anyone? Well, 0 or undefined cannot be the same. So let's discuss that. 0 divided by 5 is indeed how much? I have $0. I choose 5 of you to share my 0 with, and how much will you get from me? Indeed 0. Very good. What about 5 divided by 0? Obviously it cannot be 0. I couldn't hear you. What is the answer? That's it. This is a fancy word, but what does it really mean? It means it does not exist. It does not exist. You cannot find a number to replace 5 over 0 with. So this is undefined. And very important situation, because we are going to look at domain of functions. Now, does anyone remember what a function represents? So let's discuss that, function. And let me give you 3 examples with 3 pairs of bubbles. I call them bubbles, but they are sets. Okay, so I'm going to create a relationship between these sets. The first relationship is this. Let's say 1, 5, 10, 3. Let's say the other one is this. 1, 10, 20. And here's the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what about the first one? Is the first one a function? Does this connection represent a function?
Yes.
Yes, because each x, these are values of x, of course, and these are values of y in all of them. Each x corresponds to exactly one y value. That makes it a function. So a function. What about the second one? Is the second one a function?
No.
No. This is a relation. Not a function. Does it exist? Yes. But it's not a function. What about the last one? Yes. The last one is a function because each x corresponds to only one y. Exactly one y. 2 corresponds to 4 only. 1 corresponds to 4 only. 3 corresponds to 5 only. Okay. Now, we can also identify functions from graphs. So I'm going to graph a couple of, I'm not going to say, because I want to ask you if they're functions or not. So I'm going to graph, and you're going to tell me whether these are functions or not. And based on what? So I have 3 graphs, and I would like to identify whether they represent functions or not. Is the first one a function? I couldn't hear. Nicholas, are you there? We can't see you. So is the first one a function?
No.
No. By the vertical line test, by the vertical line test, this is not a function. Because for a particular x value, I will be reading 2 y values. So for x equals -1, I will read y equals 5 and y equals 10. Not a function, relation. What about this by the vertical line test? Is this a function?
Yeah.
By the vertical line test, this is a function. Why? Every vertical line will only cross the function in one point. Good. What about this one? Is the last graph a function?
No.
No. It's a relation. Very good. Okay, so then we know how to apply the vertical line test. And what if I have, you may encounter a problem like this. What if the graph is given without being connected? Something like this. That's my graph. Is this a function? Same thing by the vertical line test. Is it or it is not?
It is not.
It is not. Exactly. If I use this, of course there is no point in discussing this vertical line. It doesn't cross anything, right? So, but this one is hitting 2 points, so this is a relation. Good. Very good. now we reached 56 on 23, and we have a function. We already did this. We are ahead of the book. We have f of x equals x squared plus 4x. They want us to find and simplify the difference quotient. And then we will look at what we call piecewise defined functions. Okay, can anyone refresh our memory on the difference quotient? I will write it right here. What is the difference quotient? Till you tell me, I'll. Yes, I was gonna sip from my cup of tea, but I'm writing it.
Is it f of x plus h minus f of x over h?
That's it. Very good. So we have these two p's. Let's calculate f of x plus h. Okay. Good. Well done. So f of x plus h, can anyone tell us how to write it? What is the starting point of f of x plus h? Remember to, I don't want to say this and sound like a broken record. Any point in time you have a question, please stop me. If you don't, I will not know whether you have questions. Please. Okay, so for this function, which is x squared plus 4x, what does f of x plus h look like? How does it look like? What do I write? Can anyone dictate? Anyone?
Is it x plus h squared
Great job.
plus 4x plus x plus h?
In parentheses. Great job. Thank you very much. Who was that? I can't see. Harsh? Who was it? Joseph. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Okay, perfect. Because I have the equipment in front of me. Okay, good. Can anyone give us this? And before you say anything, I'm just showing you this again. I will show it to you, or probably every class we meet, every time we meet. Okay, I'm ready. Anyone?
Isn't it
Great job. Thank you very much. Who was it? Me? No? Who was it? Nobody. Nobody. Okay. Good. So we do have this piece now. We just determined it. So I'm going to continue here. Copying all this. Remember, we reached the negative sign or minus that has to be distributed to both terms in f of x. So I have to write negative x squared and minus 4x and everything divided by h. At this point, I'm going to ask you what has to happen every time I calculate and simplify the difference quotient. There are two things that must happen. What are they? Which things I'm talking about?
Is it other terms without h?
Must go away. Yes, that's the first thing. And look, they do go away. Great. And then what is the next step? What do I have to do next for sure? I have 3 terms left over. And what do I need to do next?
Is it simplified?
Not yet. I have to do one more thing first. One more step I have to perform before I simplify.
Divide everything by each.
That's an option. It is an option, but sometimes you will not be able to. Sometimes. So I think it's wiser to factor out, knowing that all these have age in common, factor out, and then you have 2x plus age and plus 4. At this point, you will simplify. I don't have anything against dividing, but sometimes you're going to have other factors in here, and I'm afraid that what will come out of it. So be very careful. It's wiser and simpler and easier to factor out age and then simplify. And this is it. This is the rate of change of that function between 2 points. Which points? Between the point P, x, comma, f of x, and Q, x plus h, comma, f of x plus h. These are the 2 points that give us that difference quotient. Any questions? Any questions? If you think that we need other examples, you can choose. We can work on other examples. Are we okay with this? Would you like to work on a rational function maybe? Let's work on a rational function. Can anyone give us a rational function to work on and determine the difference quotient?